Hi everyone, my name is Vishal Singh and I'll be teaching you chess today. So in the previous class, we continued defending by moving away. We solved quite a lot of puzzles, and we'll be continuing that today, and we'll be finishing that today for sure. So let's begin with the class. I'll be sharing my screen now. All right. Okay. So here we are. I'm sure we completed this specific puzzle in the previous class, but I'll wrap it up really quickly. So you're playing as black and your bishop is under the attack due to this pawn here at h4. You cannot capture you can capture that, but capturing this pawn wouldn't be beneficial because then the king will capture your bishop. Wouldn't be a fair trade and you will be losing your points. Moving here at f6 again not a good option because the pawn can capture your bishop. So the only option that you cannot move here as well because your own piece is occupying the block. So that is not an option. While you go down, you cannot move to f4 due to the king. It will capture your bishop. Not a good option. You cannot move to e3 and d2 due to the knight. Knight has an attack range over these blocks, so these are not a good option. The only option left being c1. So the answer to this puzzle was knight to c1. Okay. Now let's begin with the next one, a fresh new puzzle. Okay. So you're playing as black over here, and then you're okay, not giving away the answer. Pause the video, think which of your pieces under the attack, and come up with a solution that you think is perfect for this given situation, and then come back and cross check whether your answer was right or not. Okay. So okay, you're playing as black over here, and your queen is under attack. You might be wondering, what is the rook threatening it? Well, why not just capture the rook back, right? Well, no, because if you do capture the rook, the bishop is actually supporting the rook. That is why it is a threat to the queen. Because if the bishop wasn't present here, our queen could have just captured the enemy rook, and that would not be a problem at all. But due to this bishop, which is supporting the rook, our queen is in the threat. So we cannot. The queen can move in a lot of direction. We all know that, but moving anywhere in this entire A file is not an option. Why? Because the rook is occupying the entire A file is the attack range of the rook at the moment. So we have to get out of that. Moving up here is not an option diagonally because our own piece is blocking our path and we cannot move over there. Let's see if we can go down. Definitely not an option at d4. Why? Because the pawn will then just capture our queen, and that would be definitely not a very good and fair trade at all. You'll be losing 9 points for what, a 1 point? No, right? For nothing, absolutely, actually. So going down here is not an option. Staying in the A file is not an option. Going here is not an option. Let's see, can we move to b5? Definitely no, right? Because the bishop will then capture our queen for absolutely free again, not a good option. Well, the bishop can only, remember, the bishop can only attack diagonally. Okay, so if you want to attack a bishop, a good point would be to attack it in straight lines like a rook would. Correct. So moving our queen to c5 would actually be a considerable option. Why? Because there's absolutely no threat to our queen at this point. Plus, we will be attacking the enemy bishop at the same time. So we kind of change the game, right? That would be definitely a good option. How about moving here at d5? Not a good option again. The bishop plus the pawn both are occupying this as the attack range block. So definitely out of option. The best option given over here, let's see. Staying in the A file, definitely not an option. Diagonally up, not an option. Diagonally down, not an option. So the only option is sideways, and that too only specifically moving to c5 seems to be a better option. So the answer here is quite simple, queen to c5. Cool. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, you're playing as white over here, and you're definitely a queen. Okay, I gave away the answer again. Your queen is under the attack. Pause the video, think of a solution, come back, and then play a video. Okay, so your queen is under the attack. Why? Because of the bishop, and the pawn is supporting the bishop, which is actually why it is a threat to us. Okay, so let's see where can the queen move. Can it go up? Definitely not up. Why? Because the king can capture us if we move anywhere in this three blocks like d6, d7, and d8. So moving up is not an option. Diagonally, definitely not an option. How about moving towards e6? No, again, why? Because the king and pawn can capture is not an option. So let's see if we can move towards the right. No, not at all. Why? Because the pawns here at f6 and g6 are occupying all the four blocks. So moving towards the right is definitely not an option. We'll be losing 9 points for absolutely nothing. Moving diagonally down towards h1 again is not an option. Why? Because the bishop has the entire attack range from d1 to h1. So this is definitely not an option. We cannot possibly go down because our own piece is occupying the block at d4, so we cannot move down. Moving towards the left, moving at c5, definitely no due to the pawn. Moving at b5, definitely no due to the bishop. Capturing a5, definitely no because the pawn is guarding it. So moving towards the left, up, diagonally up, both the diagonally up. Right, moving towards the right, diagonally down, and down, definitely not an option. All of these, the queen is getting killed and it is trapped. Okay, so let's see the only option left, which is diagonally down towards the left. Okay, so c1, sorry, c4 and b3 is again not an option. Why? Because the knight has its attack range over those two blocks. The only safe option seems to be queen to a2. There's nothing that is threatening our queen over here, and this was the best possible move for our queen. So this is the answer for this puzzle. Okay, moving ahead. Okay. So you're playing as white over here and your knight is under the attack. Okay, so your knight is under the attack. Let's see where can the knight move. Okay, let's shortlist. First, let's get rid of the options where our own pieces are there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of the 5 options, out of the 8 options, 5 are out already. So now we have 3 options. Moving here at g4 and f5 is not an option. The bishop has an attack range till h3, plus the pawn also has an attack range at f5. So not an option. The only option we have is moving to d5. You might be wondering the bishop can still capture a knight over there. Fair. Yeah, I know. It can capture, but we can in return capture the enemy bishop. If we were to move towards the left, towards the right here, we would be giving away for our knight for absolutely free. We do not want that, right? So, what we can do is offer an exchange rather than giving it away for free. So our best option in this given situation would be to do an equal exchange. So I lose 3 points because my knight is being captured, but I also take 3 points because I will be capturing the enemy bishop. Get it? So in this given particular situation, exchange would be the best option that we can do. So the correct answer is knight to d5. Got it? Really simple. Okay, moving ahead. Okay, so in this given situation, you're playing as black, and yeah, okay, I've only said this much. Now you know. Pause the video, look which of your pieces under attack, and come up with a solution, and then play the video. Okay, so your knight is under the attack, and let's see what are the options your knight has. So knight can only move to these specific pieces. Moving to d8, definitely not an option. It will be killed immediately by the queen. Correct. Moving to a5 and c5, again not an option. Definitely would be killed by the queen immediately. So and we do not have any other option. Why? Because the knight is at the end of the chessboard. It is at b7. So there are only four options available at the moment instead of 8. So the best option again would be to give support to your knight by moving it at d6. This. As soon as you play your knight to d6, it is being supported by the pawn. And as a logical opponent, I would definitely not capture the knight with the queen, knowing that I'll be losing 9 points just for taking 3 points, right? So in this given scenario, you definitely do save your knight. So the correct answer would be knight to d6. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so this is the last puzzle, and you're playing as white in this one. Okay, now again, I did not give away the answer luckily this time. Pause the video, think which of your pieces you're playing as white, which of your pieces under attack, and what can you do to make it played safe, safeguard your own piece. Okay, so you're playing as white, and obviously as you can see, your rook is under attack because of the bishop. Now the rook can only move vertically and diagonally. We all know that. Okay, so it cannot go down and towards the right because both of our own pieces, both of our pawns are blocking its path. So the only option we have is moving towards the top and towards the left. Let's see what all happens. So moving here at f4, can we move here at f4? No, right? The enemy pawn will just capture our rook, so we'll be losing 5 points for nothing. Moving at f5, f6, and f7, again not an option. Why? The king has an attack range over these blocks. So again, not a good option. We'll be losing our rook for absolutely nothing. Moving to f8, again not a good option. Why? Because this enemy rook here at a8 actually is occupying entire 8th rank as an attack range, and the entire a file as well as its attack range. So going up to any of the above blocks is definitely not an option. Let's see what happens if we go towards the left. Do you see this pawns here at c4 and d4? Let's see. These have an attack range like this. So moving to e3, d3, c3, and b3, absolutely not a good option. So if we do not move from this position, we are being killed. If we move up, we are definitely being killed. If we move to any of these 4 blocks, we are being killed. The only option left is we can move to a3. There is nothing threatening us rather than only the enemy rook is threatening us. But it's fine. Why? Because then we can capture the enemy rook in return because our pawn will be supporting our own rook. So rather than giving away our rook for free, in this scenario, we'll be doing an equal exchange. So you lose 5 points and I lose 5 points. That is still completely fine and good, rather than me losing just 5 points and being in a disadvantage. Correct? So in this given situation, this was the best possible move to play. Okay. So today we are finally done with defending by moving away. So we are done with that, and we'll be starting with something new in the next video. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.